I'd never been more tentative about Navtej's work in the 16 years I'd known him than I was when he started making Fana'a. When he mooted the idea of juxtaposing Punjabi Sufi text with Bharatanatyam music and dance, I was openly skeptical. I protested vociferously in my head about this mixing of what I thought was chalk and cheese. Then I bit my tongue. In retrospect, I was glad I did. Navtej did not make Fana'a, he made history. Fana'a turned out to be a seminal work. It marked a professional and personal breakthrough for the man and the dancer. In a larger context, it marked a breakthrough for modern Indian dance. Looking back, I must say I absolutely loved the music. Sang along with great gusto during the rehearsals, I recall. Today I realize it was an enterprise destined to succeed. How could it not? With talents like Sufi scholar, academician, lyricist, composer, singer, Professor Madan Gopal Singh, consummate Carnatic vocalist, composer and Tamil scholar Ilangovan Govindarajan, and a marvelous singer like Rekha Raj, with a soul as old as the hills and a voice reminiscent of old wine. Not to mention our incredibly talented accompanists. Tamils, Sikhs, Bengalis, Christians, Punjabis. Together, this whole group represented the syncretism, the incredible mosaic that is the very quintessence of India. But Madan it was that provided the philosophic framework for the entire production.
काफ़ी कुछ चीज़ां जड़ियां बदल रही हैं पंजाब बारे जिहड़ी परसैप्शन है ये बदल रही है पंजाब दे जिहड़े कल्चरल स्टेक्स ने बदल रहे ने पंजाब दे जिहड़े इंटरनेशनल मार्जिनस ने वो खुल रहे ने and there is a lot of reflective content which is now coming out into the open, and it is important that we also then invoke the past in conjunction with the future aspirations, or the way we locate ourselves, the way we perceive ourselves within the present. For me, what is very interesting about Navtej is that, you know, in his case, the margins are beginning to move. You know, his family comes from the Potoa region, which is now in the other part of Punjab. He's spent his childhood in this part of Punjab. He has decided, and this is a very conscious, at one level, very conscious move. At another level, a very sort of, you know, resonant move. He's decided consciously to move out into a cultural space, which is quote-unquote alien culture space, and he has espoused a very different art form, which is Bharatanatyam. And believe you me, it's not easy. I mean, if you've come from a space which is normally identified more with agriculture than with culture, it is not easy for you to then make a space for yourself, to carve out a niche for yourself within an art form which is considered not just classical, but it is the sort of the innermost sort of core of classicism per se. So you have to be really good because you are an outsider and you are moving into an inside which is not very easily sort of opening itself. So this is one. The other is कि मुंडा पढ़या लिखया है. See, ऐदा नहीं है कि मतलब Navtej is not coming from a context of orality only. Oral tradition ते है. एक ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਮਤਲਬ ਲਾਰਜਰ ਪੈਡਾਗੋਜਿਕ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕੰਸਰਨਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ. ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਮੁੰਡਾ, ਦੁਨੀਆ ਸਾਰੀ ਦੇਖੀ ਉਹਨੇ. And he has studied in the finest institutes. ਇਹ ਸਭ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਡਾਂਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਿਫਲੈਕਟ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹੈ. ਉਹਦਾ ਡਾਂਸ ਇੱਕ ਲੈਵਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਲੰਕਾਰ ਦਾ ਡਾਂਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ. I think this is really something tremendous. Yani embellishment the dance nahi hai. I know the alankars, but I move out. I know the rasa, but I move out of the rasas. And I sort of, I put my entire being on stake. And that's really very, very fascinating about him. I've been watching Navtej for a long time. In fact, the interest in Sufism, it goes back, to Sasi Punnu. And I saw him dancing on stage, and I knew, here is one man, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੂਰਾ discipline ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਇਆ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ level ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ he is putting that entire discipline under erasure, and he's trying to sort of move out to an extent. This is what defines the new Punjabi spirit, if I may put it like that. How do we move? What are we doing? How do we move out of the narrow constraints of the identity politics? Where do we go? And this is, very important for me as well. In terms of his religion, then we would say that he is a Sikh and I am a Sikh. But the texts that we are invoking are all written by people whom we can then identify as people who are Muslims. And within those texts, the further invocations are, you have the Jogis, you have the Krishna, myth, you have the Shiv Parvati myth, and you also have the Islamic sort of references. These cultural margins are very fluid. And these cultural margins are beginning to interact in a way which defines actually, which defines the new India. This is very, very important, about the work that he's doing. When I say that he is पढ़या लिखया बंदा है, ਇਹਦਾ मतलब ਕੀ ਹੈ? ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਣ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਿਵਲੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਖੋਲਦੇ ਹੋ. ਇਹਨੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਲਿਖਾਈ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਫਰੀडम ਦੇਤੀ ਹੈ. When Bulle Shah says मैं बेकैद ना रोगी ना वैद, ਚਾਰੋਂ ਤਬਕੀ ਸੈਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕੈਦ. ਇਹ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਪਛਾਣ ਹੈ. ਜਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਜਦੋਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਗगन में थाल रवि चंद दीपक बने तारिका मंडल जनक मोती धूप मलयान लो पवन चवरों करे सकल बन राय फुलंत ज्योति. Now ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਦੀ ਪਛਾਣ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ I really place myself within the larger ecological design. This is what ਪੜ੍ਹਿਆ ਲਿਖਿਆ is. ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਗਾਣਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਰਾਂਝਾ ਰਾਤ ਮਸੀਤੋਂ ਤੁਰਿਆ ਕਾਲੀ ਰਾਤ ਖੁਆਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੁਲਿਆ, I look at Navtej and I'm really deeply moved, the way, for instance, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ literal sort of transference ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ. ਇਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਇੱਕ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟੋਟਲ ਬੋਡੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਦਾਂ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਕਾਸਮਿਕ ਆਰਡਰ ਚ ਉਹਨੇ ਪਲੇਸ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀ. ਰਾਂਝਾ ਰਾਤ ਮਸੀਤੋਂ ਤੁਰਿਆ ਕਾਲੀ ਰਾਤ ਖੁਆਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੁਲਿਆ. ਜਦੋਂ ਦਰਿਆ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ, ਜਦੋਂ ਰਾਤ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ, these are at one level very abstract notions. At another level I see him sort of becoming through his engagement with these abstractions, with the text, he's becoming larger. मेरे लिए तो वो मोमेंट जड़ी है ना एक एपिफेनिक मोमेंट होती है और जो फना च कीता गया है some kind of a benchmark, it is some kind of a signpost. फना ने जो गल कीती है ना, फना ने एक पासे जड़ा narrow rigid rhetoric of identity है ਉਹਨੂੰ ਚੈਲੰਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਆਲਸੋ ਅੰਡਰਸਟੂਡ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਲਚਰਲ ਮਾਰਜਨਸ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੂਵ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਟ੍ਰਾਂਸਗ੍ਰੈਸਿਵ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਕੰਪੈਸ਼ਨੇਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਐਟ ਦ ਸੇਮ ਟਾਈਮ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਮਤਲਬ what is it that we transgress politics of language, ethnicity, we transgress politics of gender and various other registers. Amazing. Just fluidity the null, and I think we do it with a lot of economy. ਉਸ 1 ਘੰਟੇ 10-15 ਮਿੰਟ ਦੀ ਪਰਫਾਰਮੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਕਿ we are invoking 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th and 21st century. 6 centuries ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਨਵੋਕ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਾਇਰ ਲਿਆ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਸ਼ਾਇਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਹੁਸੈਨ, ਸੁਲਤਾਨ ਬਾਹੂ, ਬਾਬਾ ਬੁੱਲੇ ਸ਼ਾਹ, Baba Farid, no, Baba Farid nahi, Waris Shah, Ghulam Farid, Puran Singh, and we are bringing in my own, poetry. At one level, ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਪੂਰੇ ਰਜਿਸਟਰਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ 20th century ਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਨਵੋਕ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ we are doing something completely new. ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈਂਡਸਕੇਪ ਇੱਕ ਨਵਾਂ ਤਿਆਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਾਂਝੇ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਰਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਇਹ ਲੈਂਡਸਕੇਪ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਕੰਟੈਕਸਟ ਹੀ ਰੈਡੀਕਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ this is radical in the larger context of the subcontinent and I think we have to now culturally address some of the problems. You see, the political landscape of the subcontinent might be sort of re-understood and probably radically redefined through the registers of culture. I think this is the defining moment, as far as I'm concerned, vis-a-vis my experience of Fana'a and my experience of working with Navtej.
For Navtej, Fana'a was a moment of artistic resolution, the culmination point of a long creative journey.
If I talk about Fana'a, I have to speak a little bit about myself. I'm a Punjabi. I'm a good Sikh boy, so to speak. I grew up in Chandigarh, a very proper orthodox standard background. And for some reason, I fell in love with Bharatanatyam. I thought it was the most beautiful form of dance, form of expression, using the body, the face, the mind. And it took me all the way from Punjab to Madras. And all those years that I lived in Madras, studying Bharatanatyam at Kalakshetra, I really began to kind of develop a parallel identity. I was as much a Punjabi and a Sikh as much as I was a Tamil. I mean, I really got into the Tamil ethos, the Tamil language, the music, the nuance, and the imagination. And so I have like two parallel loves, Tamil Nadu and Punjab. So when it came to making my own work, after having made lots of solos and ensemble works, mainly either in the Bharatanatyam form or in contemporary, there was a need to start voicing the Punjabi self in me. And I made like feeble attempts to express myself in Punjabi, and I must say that I was also a very timid, a very shy Punjabi. Because I didn't quite know as a Bharatanatyam dancer where I stood amongst Punjabis. But I felt very timid about having made a choice which was un-Punjabi-like. I guess it's the benefit of age. I realized that I had something very precious. I had a medium to express myself, and I had to express myself, and I had to express myself as a Punjabi. So when I first heard Madan, in fact when I first heard this song, Ranjha Jogira Banaya, I made a resolve right there and then that this is a piece that I have to do. Because मैं सुनता गया तो मेरे रोम रोम विच कुछ हो गया. And I really realized that I had to do this piece. So that's how the idea, the seed of Fana'a took place. So it began as a solo. It began as an improvised solo where Madan would sing with a whole array of fantastic musicians, even the Manganiyars from Rajasthan. And they would make a semicircle and I would dance in the middle. And it was an hour and a half long piece, but it was a totally improvised piece. I did that quite a few times and I realized that after having done it, that I was doing it, but on the other hand, I was not, using the language or the medium or the technique of Bharatanatyam, which I had spent so many years learning. So I decided to kind of put in the technique of Bharatanatyam and Punjabi music. But I also realized that Punjabi music and Bharatanatyam technique do not gel together. I did not want to put the two together. Thus, I started playing with the idea of putting two stories together, one Carnatic, one Sufi. And when I first started sharing this thought with my friends who are very close to me, who know my work, appreciate my work, and every single one of them said, do not even think of doing it because it won't gel. It's like chalk and cheese, Carnatic and Sufi, Tamil and Punjabi. Don't even attempt, you'll fall on your face. But in my mind, it was the way I had envisioned it because I knew I was very, very close to Punjabi, I was very, very close to Tamil, Carnatic music and Punjabi music. And I knew the two stories that I had in mind. One was Ranjha and one was Kutralu Kurvanji, which is a Tamil story. And I knew that they would seamlessly kind of blend and flow into each other. I also wanted to kind of work with using a narrative, using two narratives, and kind of exploring the seamlessness of two narratives. It's one love story, and there are four sets of lovers. It doesn't make a difference kaun hai, kaun aadmi hai, kaun janani hai, kaun lover hai, kaun, because it's one seamless expression of feeling, so to speak. And it doesn't make a difference who takes on which role at what point. It became a trio. My first attempt of it was a trio where there were two men, Anil and I, and another female dancer, Radhika. And we premiered it, and it was all those people who had said it wouldn't work came backstage and they had tears in their eyes and they were really, really moved because it worked. But now, it's developed into a duet now because we lost the female dancer, now it's a duet. And now the whole dimension has changed completely because there are two men who are portraying two sets of lovers. And it's one set of lovers from Ranjha, one set of lovers from Shiva Parvati, and it's an intermingling of two love stories where there is no fixed characterization, where there's no fixed narrative, and it's a mingling. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of create a seamless mingling where I would lose identity. Losing identity, remixing identity, regaining identity, or losing identity basically is the basic thrust of Fana'a. कि मैं घर खो जावा so that I come out again, I come out complete, I come out full again. घर खोना is a very, very important aspect of what we are doing. So why did I make Fana'a? Well, first of all, I made Fana'a because I absolutely love Sufi poetry and I absolutely love Carnatic music. These are the first two things, and I wanted to marry them together. I wanted to see them together. Not because I wanted to bring the north to the south and south to the north. That was incidental. But I did it because I loved it. Number two, I wanted to revive the Punjabi that I grew up with, the Potohari or the Saraiki language, which in West Punjab it's still spoken, but in our Punjab, in India, it's not spoken anymore at all. In fact, it's made fun of, it's ridiculed. असां तुसां वाली पंजाबी जड़ी होंदी फुल पान मिश्री लाचा मंगे सा अतरे गुलाब मल मल धवे सा हौसियां ले सा सेरे बणे सा हौसियां ले सा तेरे बने सा अगों मिले सा बनड़ा बना के एक बार लंघ गया सजन साडड़ी जाते. But it's such a mithi Punjabi. all the Sufi saints have written in that dialect. They've all written in Saraiki, so there must have been some reason to it. Ek te mainu khich sigi andro pendi because in mere maapiyan di boli si. And inde vich mere aste bahut mithas sigi. But on the other hand, I also believed in it. I believed in the beauty of it. And of course, I believed in the profundity of Sufi poetry. So I wanted to do it because I wanted to celebrate apni boli, apne passe di boli rather. Number 3, being a Sikh Bharatanatyam dancer, I realized, and I didn't realize for a long, long time because it was rather naive, that there's a whole hierarchy of low art and high art which pertains. And it's a very bogus hierarchy, where some forms are considered higher than the other, or some forms are considered to be more sophisticated expressions than the other. And as I said, it's totally bogus. And Carnatic music and Bharatanatyam are really like on the top. They symbolize culture, so to speak. And Punjab, for some reason, has been made to feel very sheepish about its poetic expressions. And Punjabi poetry especially has been totally obliterated. Nobody knows, nobody even associates beautiful, profound, incredibly beautiful poetry with Punjab. But I also must say that my connection to Sufi poetry is directly through Gurbani. I absolutely love Gurbani, and from Gurbani into Sufi poetry, I mean, dono ekko jihi cheezan hegiyan ne. So I wanted to place high art and low art at the same platform. I was presenting Punjabi Sufi music, which is considered folk or folksy, with Carnatic music, which is considered to be like high art. And even when I was doing Carnatic music, my request to my Carnatic composers was that to use ragas which were particularly Carnatic. Not very often what they do is they use ragas which blend with Hindustani or which blend with the north. But we used ragas which are very, very typical of the south. So I wanted to kind of put these two together.
Navtej was making his breakthroughs, juxtaposing traditions, demolishing hierarchies. His creative partners on this journey were also making their own discoveries.
जब भी हम ऑडी में ये पूरा फना करते हैं किसी भी ऑडी में, जैसे ही बिगनिंग फना का स्टार्ट होता है, लाइट ऑन होती है और जैसे ही हमारा मूवमेंट स्टार्ट होता है, उसमें ही फील आ जाता है। और उससे लास्ट तक जैसे ही जब तक फना ख़त्म नहीं होता तब तक मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैं कोई कहीं और हूँ, मैं कूदिया हूँ या मैं अनिल पांचाल हूँ। उसमें इतना मतलब आंखें बंद करके उसमें खो जाना, और बिल्कुल मतलब अब इतना फील आ गया कि अब सिर्फ है ना, अगर वैसे याद भी करते हैं कई बारी तो वो गुनगुनाते हुए वो सॉन्ग और वो सारी चीज़ें वो याद आती रहती हैं। और जैसे ही रांझा और हीर का हमारा कपल्स कहीं पे भी वर्क होता है तो जहाँ से हम दोनों को जब फील होता है तो हम दोनों की बॉडी लैंग्वेज खुद ही बता देती है कि रांझा कौन बन गया, हीर कौन बन गई। कोई डिसाइड नहीं होता कि कौन रांझा कौन हीर है, लेकिन वो खुद की बॉडी बता देती है अपने आप में ही कि ये कन्वर्ट हो गया रांझा में, ये हीर, हमें खुद ही पता लग जाता है। वो पंजाब में जब हम फना करने के लिए गए थे तो पंजाब की ऑडियंस, हमें पता था कि पंजाब की ऑडियंस तो समझेगी, लेकिन पंजाब की ऑडियंस को कर्नाटक म्यूज़िक भी बहुत पसंद आया। काफ़ी लोग ऐसे शो ख़त्म होने के बाद काफ़ी लोग आए और काफ़ी लोगों ने बिल्कुल ऐसे उन्होंने ये मतलब हाथ पकड़ के वो बिल्कुल ऐसे ही रहते थे कि यार क्या किया।
For Rekha Raj, Fana was a watershed moment in her life, her career.
सब तो पहला तो मैं ये कहना चाहांगी कि मैं आप एक पंजाबन हाँ ते अजकल जिहड़ा पंजाबी म्यूजिक वाल लोकां दा जिहड़ा रुझान है, जिहड़ा उन्हां दे सुनन दा जिहड़ा ढंग है, जिहड़ा भी अजकल पंजाबी म्यूजिक चल रहा है, लोकी सोचदे सी कि बस इहो ही जो भी है अजकल दा पंजाबी म्यूजिक इहो ही हैगा। मैं आज तक बड़ी जगहां ते परफॉर्म कीता, इंडिया तो बाहर पॉप गाया, फोक गाया, मतलब सारे किस्म का मैं म्यूजिक गाया। मतलब मैनू एक जड़ा रूहानी सुकून जो मैं अपनी गायकी च लभदी हुंदी सी, वो मैनू अज फना नाल जुड़ के महसूस होया है कि एक रूह नू सुकून देने वाला म्यूजिक की हुंदा है। ਕਾਫੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾਵਾਂ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਇਦਾਂ ਸੁਣਨ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੈ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਮਤਲਬ ਜਾਂ ਤੇ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਵਾਲੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਲਓ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਡਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਲੋਕੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾਤਰ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਨੇ ਰੌਲੇ ਵਾਲਾ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਹੋਏ ਹੋਏ ਤੇ ਬੱਲੇ ਬੱਲੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਬਸ ਸਾਡੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੀ ਇੱਕ ਪਹਿਚਾਨ ਇਹ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਖਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਮਤਲਬ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੋਚ ਬਦਲ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਪੰਜਾਬੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਣੇ ਤੇ ਮਾਣ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਾਂ
Ace percussionist Gurmeet Singh had his own take on the experience.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਗੁਰਮੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੈ ਨਿਕਨੇਮ ਮੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਮੀਤੇ ਨਾਮ ਤੋਂ ਹੀ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਲਾਈਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਵਿਸ਼ਨੂਗੜ੍ਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਵਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰਾ ਇੱਕ ਬ੍ਰਦਰ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਡੌਗ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਾ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਤਿੰਨ ਜਣੇ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਫਸਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਦੋਂ ਰੇਖਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਨਵਤੇਜ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਾਇਆ ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਰਿਹਰਸਲ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗੇ ਕੁਝ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਧਰ ਕਰਨਾਟਕ ਮਿਊਜ਼ੀਸ਼ੀਅਨਸ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ ਇੱਧਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੈਠੇ ਹਾਂ ਐਵੇਂ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਖਿਚੜੀ ਪੱਕ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਦਾਲਾਂ ਮਿਕਸ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜਦੋਂ ਫਸਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਕਮਾਨੀ ਆਡੀਟੋਰੀਅਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਰਫਾਰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਕੁਝ ਅਲੱਗ ਜਿਹਾ ਹੀ ਨਿਕਲ ਕੇ ਆਇਆ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਹੈਰਾਨ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਹਾਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਨਾ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਕਨਸਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਹਫ਼ਤਾ ਤੱਕ ਤੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਫਨਾ ਦੇ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਗਾਣੇ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਕਰਨਾਟਕ ਮਿਊਜ਼ੀਸ਼ੀਅਨਸ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਹਫ਼ਤੇ ਤੱਕ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਉਹ ਹੀ ਛਾਇਆ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਵੇਖ ਮੈਂ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਪੌਪ ਸਿੰਗਰ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਮੀਕਾ ਸ਼ੋਕ ਮਸਤੀ ਜੱਸੀ ਪੂਪੀ ਦਲੇਰ ਮਹਿੰਦੀ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੋ ਫਨਾ ਦਾ ਵੇ ਇਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਇੱਕ ਅਲੱਗ ਜਿਹਾ ਹੀ ਅਹਿਸਾਸ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਲੋਕੀ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਸੁਣ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਦ ਵਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਅਜੀਬ ਜਿਹਾ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਦਾ ਅਹਿਸਾਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ
Sarod player Pritam Ghoshal, guitarist Deepak Castellino discovered their own truths.
मैं बंगाली हूँ और मुझे इस प्रोडक्शन में डील करना पड़ रहा है तमिल लैंग्वेज से और पंजाबी लैंग्वेज से जो कि मैं तमिल में बहुत ज़्यादा समझता नहीं हूँ और पंजाबी थोड़ा थोड़ा समझता हूँ लेकिन ये एक बैरियर हो सकता था ये एक बैरियर हो सकता है आई मीन लेकिन एज फार एज अ म्यूजिशियन कंसर्न म्यूज़िक का कोई भाषा नहीं होता है म्यूज़िक का भाषा होता है 7 स्वर सा रे गा मा पा धा नी सा क्योंकि ultimately music speaks.
Working with Fana'a has been one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life, I think. I've been involved with it now for at least 5 years and for about 14 years with Madan before that. And although I've done so much of theatre, I've done so much of music for theatre, Fana'a has been an absolutely different experience for me. It's been invigorating, to say the least. Here we have two different styles of music. One is Punjabi folk music, and then you have the Carnatic of the south, you know, the Sufiana Punjabi folk from the north and Carnatic from the south. That's two. And then my own influences that I bring, since I've been predominantly trained in the Western style of guitar, whether Western classical, Western pop, Western rock, and I think I bring a certain element to the music which seems to work well with Fana'a. And to have Navtej do the whole dance routine with Anil and you know, the Fana'a itself can become very inspiring. It's also a very moving experience. Working with Rekha has been absolutely tremendous. She is one of the, I think, the best singers of this genre in India today. There's a certain originality that she brings to the music. India in the north, India in the south, and it's just amazing.
Dancers, academicians, social activists showered acclaim on Fana'a.
It's a huge exercise in life to coalesce elements together, various elements together. Life is so diverse, and especially for creative people. They don't look at life the way normal people do. The creative field is where they play. And this is where their perception, their ideas, their viewpoints are so different. It takes a little time to comprehend what they want to say. But in the hands of a person, in the hands of a master, in the hands of a complete personality, things happen like that. And this is what I felt when I saw Navtej Johar's creation, Fana'a. The word itself intrigued me because I'm a Gujarati, and in my mother tongue also this word exists. But in relation to economic insolvency. And here the dancer was depicting, exhibiting, and reveling in spiritual insolvency. But an insolvency that made not only him richer, but made the onlooker, the viewer, so much richer. And how did this happen? That whole process is very interesting for me as a dancer. That he, of course, as he said, tried to bring his Punjabi background, his Punjabi identity in sync with the South Indian Tamilian identity, Bharatanatyam, the form that he loves and which he dances so beautifully, to bring them together in harmony. It's very, one has seen people, I myself have attempted so many things in Bharatanatyam, but this was thought out in a way where the Sufi Punjabi poetry of Bulle Shah, Baba Farid was juxtaposed with the very classic traditional Tamil lyrics from Kutrala Kurvanji. Two sets of musicians sat on two sides. And what happened in the space in between was nothing short of magic, so seamless, so architectural, so majestic, and so fluid that I myself can vouch for that. I came out feeling absolutely like moam, like wax which had melted and had become shapeless in a very beautiful way.
What struck me, a kind of narrative unity that our country has had. And the other thing that was very wonderful in this was that, when we look at Punjabi performances, we see a certain number of things projected in Republic Day parades, which really bothers me because it's such a rich culture in the state, and it has not been looked at from a different angle at all in performances. So it's wonderful to see that Punjab comes into this text of performance and also in the language of the performer in a very different way.
I've always been interested in Navtej's work because he dares to go where many people have not been. Not in the routine sense of just putting bits and pieces of different kinds of thought and culture and art together, but thinking it through very deeply. And I think what he's done in Fana'a really succeeds, because I felt when I saw it that it was such a seamless marrying of different cultures, of the South and the North, something that people would think is classical and yet folk, and then the culture of Punjab. And there doesn't seem to be a jarring note in it. And I think more important than anything else, it had a depth which made the viewer not just be entertained and enjoy it, but to think of new things. Any sort of art has to stimulate the mind, and if it can stimulate someone to think on different levels than perhaps even the artist imagined, that makes it good art. It makes it good literature, it makes it good dance, makes it good music. And all this, I think, goes together, perhaps maybe even more than Navtej intended it to, but that is, I think, what is the success of the whole performance and the whole project that he undertook. And more of this will bring India together, it will harmonize cultures, and where there is so much divisiveness in society, perhaps always culture has rubbed off the rough edges of such disharmony. Navtej would have contributed to bringing good things together in the best that is India.